It's time for the big one then. Sunderland against Wickham Wanderers in the League One playoff final, live at Wembley Stadium on Saturday at 3 p.m. I simply cannot wait for it. Let me know in the comments down below. Wickham fans, Sunderland fans, I imagine the nerves are only rising. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts ahead of this game. If you want to give a prediction, feel free, but I imagine it's quite difficult to give predictions when it's this nervy. But I'll be replying and responding to all of them as per usual. Of course, nervous. It will be an understatement, I can imagine. But let me know neutrals as well. I want to hear what you've got to say, because of course this will be live on Sky Sports. A lot of people have access to this game as well. Let me know if you're going to the game. Hit a like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Lots of content coming to the channel. Of course, the season is really coming to an end now. However, the content doesn't stop. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as well. You'll be notified when I go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. Right, today, what are we going to do? We're going to be looking at both teams. What should we expect from both Wickham Wanderers and Sunderland heading into this game? Then we're going to hopefully bring it all together, and I'll be giving my thoughts on how I think these two teams are going to match up at Wembley on Saturday. So starting off with Wickham Wanderers, then what should we expect from them? Well, to be honest, we should probably expect what we've seen under Gareth Ainsworth as their manager for quite a few years now. A very, very direct style. They like to play off their strikers of Vokes and of Hanlon. Wickham, they have the lowest 10-plus pass open play sequences in the league at 24. They don't like the non-direct. They don't like controlling the game. They don't feel that they have to control the game. They can do it, but that isn't what they normally do. We'll come on to the possession stats in just a few moments. But ultimately, they don't feel they need the ball. It's not a necessity for them. They can win games of football. They can score goals without having the highest possession stats. That's how they feel. And to be honest, you can't argue with it. They've got results this season. They're so well organised in the defensive third, and when leading the game, they're so well drilled at defending and setting up with such organisation. If I could sum up Wickham in one word, it would be organisation. Defensively going forward, they're so well drilled and so in the know of what each and every player is going to do, and they use the dark arts so well to frustrate that opposition. They're so strong from scoring the first goal. We'll come on to sort of predicting, and when I say we'll bring in the two styles together and sort of see what we can expect. What I would say, and I'll give a bit of a preview into that, you do not want Wickham to score first, because when scoring the first goal this season, they've been absolutely experts, I say, at soaking up the pressure and hitting on the counter-attack. And I say this season, they've been doing it for quite a few seasons now. They really, really are good at it. The spine of their team, I think, is also such a crucial part of their success. We talk about David Stockdale, we talk about Ryan Taffazolli, Anthony Stewart, all the way up to their sort of vocal point of Sam Vokes. Such a clear spine, such a clear structure, and you can see exactly what they're all about. But it starts from the bottom. The unit that they've created sort of in the defensive third of the pitch all the way up through their midfield is absolutely brilliant, and it's been so successful for them. Like I said, not just this season, but also for the past few years as well, particularly in League One. It works an absolute treat, and you can see, but looking at League One, looking at the stats, and you can look at stats as much as you like ultimately, but you can clearly see just by watching them, they're so well organised and they're so clear with the way they want to play. And one thing I would say about Wickham is their tendency to frustrate the opposition, but forcing the opposition to play different ways. That is ultimately their goal. That's their ambition. They feel the best way of winning is forcing the opponents to go long if they wouldn't normally go long. We saw against MK Dons, I think, I spoke a minute ago about open play sequences. They got 24. I think MK Dons are at the top of that table, if you like, on about 300 odd. They've got 24. That just shows the difference between Wickham and MK Dons. But we saw how, it's particularly in the second, there's a bit of panic maybe into it, of course. They were 2-0 or 2-1 down to the last few moments of the game for MK Dons, and that does not naturally happen. But even in that first leg and moments in that second leg, before they're really chasing the game for MK, you can see they're sort of forcing, and Wickham are forcing MK Dons to put balls in the penalty area in the air, or put, I guess, balls that they know they can deal with. They can deal with dominating the penalty area. Taffazolli does it so well. Anthony Stewart can do it really, really well as well in terms of clearing and dominating the penalty area. They know they can do that, and that's why forcing opposition to do things they wouldn't normally do and break up their usual patterns of play has been so successful for them, especially, I think, under Gareth Ainsworth in these recent years. And like I said, particularly in League One, we've seen such success come from that. In terms of possession stats, like I said, I knew I wanted to really highlight this point, but 49% possession in the first leg against MK Dons, 31% possession in the second leg. Of course, they were 2-0 up going into that second leg, but the average ball possession across this league campaign for Wickham is 44.7%, so less than half. That's not much. That's not a lot of possession. They don't feel they need the ball, and they're happy to soak up the pressure, use the counter-attack. They've got 23 counter-attacking goals this season. That's compared to Sunderland's 14. They've got a much higher counter-attacking goals compared to Sunderland across this season already. I think that's a bit of an indication of what we could maybe see from Wickham going into the game on Saturday. They're going to try and play on the counter-attack. They're probably going to accept they're not going to have the majority of the ball. Sunderland will probably dominate the game. In fact, I'm going to be honest. I'm happy to put my balls on the line if that's the best way of putting it. I think they will have more possession, Sunderland. However, Wickham, they're so happy to be soaking it up, but defensively so, I think, comfortable with dealing with the different aspects of the game. They can hit on the counter-attack, and they know they have the ability, and they've got the players to be so effective within that style. Of course, they promptly use the 4-2-3-1 formation. We'll come on to the formation, how those two sides are going to match up in terms of formations and systems in just a second. But ultimately, the 4-2-3-1, it's been something that Gareth Ainsworth really has installed and been very successful with in recent years. I don't expect that to change going into this final at Wembley against Sunderland. If I'm going to highlight one player, I spoke about Sam Vokes being their vocal point, being the man they really, want to get the ball to, not just because he's a goal scorer. He can do that. 17 goals this season, but also 7 assists this season as well. So influential, helping his teammates out, creating chances. His hold-up play is absolutely elite. And in terms of back to goal, it's so successful. And then we move on to Sunderland. What should we expect from them? Well, ultimately, they're 15 games unbeaten in League One at the moment, and their form is absolutely relentless. Alex Neil came in just after, I think it was just before January, in the middle of January, and he really has got this Sunderland side ticking and definitely shored up at the back. I think he came in, solidifying defensively was such an important part of his job, and he's done that, and you can't argue with that at all. And you can see, going forward, that really wasn't a problem. They could score goals, but defensively, they were leaking too many, and Alex Neil really has plugged that gap, and they look much better defensively. I think confidence is high. The growing sort of momentum within this side as well is really positive. You put all that together, I think psychologically, Sunderland are in a really good place as well. Of course, they came through against Sheffield Wednesday really well, in my opinion. They definitely showed more quality than Sheffield Wednesday did over those two legs. Definitely not the best Sunderland performance we've seen against Sheffield Wednesday when you look at their 46 league campaign in the regular season. But to be honest, even, and I speak about this going into Saturday as well, you're not going to see the best of teams in these big games of this magnitude, of this importance, simply because it's got so much on the line, and pressure and the influence of all those different things are so significant. Of course, you're not going to see the best of these sides, and that's something that we definitely should expect going into it. I thought maybe the semi-finals weren't the best indication of either Sheffield Wednesday or Sunderland, but in terms of who showed the most quality, you would edge towards Sunderland. I think that's probably why they deserve to go through. In terms of looking at their whole season so far this season, the 4th most goals scored in the league at 476, and they've got 5th most set pieces scored as well at 19, so a danger from set pieces as well. But we know Wickham also aren't too bad from set pieces with the delivery of Joe Jacobson. But like I said, we look at the ability they've got in terms of heading with Ryan Taffazolli, with Anthony Stewart. That's just to name a few, and that's just their centre halves with that sort of quality. You've got to be wary, and Sunderland will have to be wary of their quality as well. How does Sunderland play, and what's going to be their real game changers? What are going to be their sparks in the game? Well, to be honest, I think it's going to be Jack Clarke and Patrick Roberts. We'll come on to the others in just a second. I'm not going to forget all the other lads, but Jack Clarke, Patrick Roberts, they're going to be key. The width is so important. They can play as wide midfielders. They can play as traditional wingers. We'll come on to the formation, but how will they play? They're going to be playing as wing-backs in a back 3/5, or they're going to be playing as more traditional wingers in a 4-2-3-1. We'll have to wait and see, but I feel like either way, whatever they play in terms of system, whatever Alex Neil decides to go with, Jack Clarke and Patrick Roberts are going to be very important. We saw in that, I think probably more in the second leg, I thought Patrick Roberts over the 2 legs was very good. I thought Jack Clarke and Patrick Roberts definitely sort of alternated between their best games of football over those 2 legs. I thought Patrick Roberts looked good, I'd say very good in that first leg. I thought he created a lot of chances. Maybe he could have taken 1 or 2. I don't think he'll care too much now, but he did have a few chances, also created quite a few chances in that first leg as well. I thought in the second leg, Jack Clarke, he scored the equalising goal in that second leg, but the winning goal over the tie with a brilliant ball into the penalty area. Great ability to take players on. They can be direct with the fact that they can take those fullbacks on. However, they can also put a really good ball into the penalty area as well. They're going to be the game changers. They're going to be the sparks for me. Well, like I said, we'll come on to others in just a second, but they look very good and did look very good in those semi-finals in particular. Like I said, we can't forget the other players. Alex Pritchard this year been very good behind Ross Stewart, who also is a league top goal scorer. Great height, great physicality. We saw the quality that he showed to score that goal where he sort of, pounced on a mistake of Hutchinson in that first leg. But we knew and we saw the quality. Well, I think we already knew it, but we definitely saw it in full view when he sort of chased it down, showed his strength, but also showed his pace as well. And the finish wasn't too bad either. Got a little bit lucky, but he won't care. And that's exactly what strikers at this level and of the top level are all about. And we saw that with Ross Stewart in that first leg, but we can't can't deny I've seen it across the season as well. He's not league top goal scorer and Sunderland's top goal scorer for no reason. So how these two sides match up in terms of formation and in terms of systems. For me, the big question is, what will Alex Neil do in terms of formation? Will he stay with the 4-2-3-1 that we've seen him play against Sheffield Wednesday in those semi-finals? Or will he go back to 3-5-2, which he has used quite a lot since he came in January? For me, that's a really, really interesting question. If Alex Neil stays with the 4-2-3-1, they will be matched up, because as I said earlier, Wickham do like the 4-2-3-1. I can't see Ainsworth change that. And how that impact the overloads, how that impact individual one-on-ones. Of course, you change your formation, there will be overloads in those different areas. But confidence will be high in both camps. Both of these sides have done very, very well to get where they are. And in the semi-finals as well, they'd be fairly pleased, I think, both of them, with their performance. I know they won't be too worried about the performance now, because they're in the final. That's all that matters. But looking at those semi-finals, they did do very, very well. And you can't take anything away from these sides. They were very, very good exactly at what they did. And I thought the formations and the tactical approach from both of the managers, Gareth Ainsworth and Alex Neil, was very, very good. So will these managers be wary to change anything? For me, if I was in those shoes, I would be wary to change things. I wouldn't want to do that. For me, I'm sticking with the formation. Alex Neil, though, he might try and be a tactical genius and switch that back to that 3-5-2. We'll have to wait and see. For me, though, I'd stick to a 4-2-3-1. It's got me past Sheffield Wednesday. The confidence will be high. That's what I'd go with. But Alex Neil knows 10 times, 100 times more than I would, and I do. So I'd be interested to see what he does do. But that's a really interesting point. What will the formations be like going in to this final? So the moment you've probably all been waiting for, then, what is my prediction between Sunderland and Wickham Wanderers going into this League One playoff final? For me, and outline a few things first. Sunderland, they must score first. I think it's so important for a neutral, but also for Sunderland. And this is credit to Wickham. They're so good at dealing. Even when they go 1-0 up in the difficult moments in games, difficult patches where they're up against it, they can deal with those moments. And they're so, so good at it. They're so well drilled, so well organised. It's going to be so important for Sunderland. They don't go 1-0 down, because it's going to be a really, really tough watch and a tough afternoon. But again, that's credit to Wickham, to be completely honest with you. We're so used to seeing Wickham be so good in those situations. Earlier in the season, Sunderland, they won 3-1 and also a 3-3 draw in that second game as well. So in those games, you can clearly see goals galore, plenty of goals within those games, brilliant spectacles. Will we see that in the League One playoff final? I've got my doubts. Very rarely do you see that with the games with this magnitude, with so much on the line. You don't normally see that. And again, with a brilliant atmosphere there as well. A lot of people, of course, watching the game. You don't want to be the player that makes that sort of mistake. I can't imagine we're going to see a lot of goals. But if we do, then that's brilliant. For me, there's a few keys in here. Who will deal with the pressure the best? I think that's a pretty obvious one. I think that's a really, really important one to highlight. And again, a bit of a jokey one, but I think I've seen a lot of Sunderland fans sort of believe this. Is there such thing as a Wembley curse for Sunderland? I don't know. Hopefully for Sunderland fans, that curse will be broken on Saturday. We'll have to wait and see. Sunderland are the bookies' favourites 11-10, so it's going to be very, very tight. My prediction, I'm going with 1-1. And then I'm going with the Sunderland win on penalties. That's what I'm going to go with. A very, very close, tight game of football. I'm seeing a lot of Sunderland fans, and I appreciate the confidence. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some people think. I think it's going to be very, very tight. You've got to give Wickham the credit. Like I said, if you don't score first, this could be a very, very long afternoon for everybody involved. And like I said, I mean that in the most respectful way towards Wickham. They won't play the most attractive style of play. However, they know what to do, and they know exactly how to get the job done. Let me know in the comments down below what you think going into this game. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Leave a like, subscribe as well, and I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit. Good luck, Sunderland fans. Good luck, Wickham fans. And yeah, we'll see who gets that win and takes them to the Championship for next season. See you in a bit.